Today we're looking at President Rutherford B Hayes. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. Rutherford B Hayes was the 19th President of the United States from 1877 to 1881 and was a member of the Republican Party. Hayes was elected president in one of the most contested elections in U.S. history and would be remembered for ending the period of Reconstruction in America. Hayes was born in Delaware, Ohio on October 4th, 1822 to Rutherford Hayes Jr. and Sophia Pritchard. His father, Rutherford Hayes Jr., died 2 months before his birth. His mother, Sophia, never remarried and raised Rutherford and his 3 other siblings on her own. Hayes attended public schools in Delaware, Ohio, and various preparatory schools before enrolling in Kenyon College in Gambier, Ohio in 1838. Hayes graduated from Kenyon in 1842 and then was accepted at Harvard School of Law in 1843. Hayes graduated from Harvard in 1845 and began his career as an attorney. In that same year, he opened a law office in Fremont, Ohio. However, business there was slow, and so by 1850, Hayes moved to Cincinnati and began practicing law there. In Cincinnati, he began to court Lucy Webb, and the two were married on December 30th of 1852. They would go on to have 8 children together. Lucy was a staunch abolitionist wishing to end the institution of slavery in America. Her views heavily influenced Rutherford as he too began to get involved in the abolitionist movement. After the Fugitive Slave Act was passed as part of the Compromise of 1850, Hayes began defending escaped enslaved people in court, arguing for their freedom. In the mid-1850s, the Republican Party began to form, arguing against slavery, and Hayes was seen as a leader in the young party. After the opening shots of the Civil War were fired and President Abraham Lincoln called for volunteers to join the Union cause, Hayes signed up, joining the 23rd Ohio Infantry, which ironically included another young volunteer named William McKinley, who would also go on to become President of the United States. Hayes was noted for his leadership and bravery during the war, being wounded 5 times, including being shot through the left arm, fracturing the bone. By the end of the war, Hayes had been promoted to a major general and returned to Ohio a hero. Even before his time in the Union Army came to an end, Republican Party leaders in Cincinnati were urging Hayes to run for the U.S. House of Representatives. Hayes was elected to the House and was sworn in December of 1865. In the House, Hayes was a moderate, not fully joining the radical Republican cause in the House, but Hayes did vote to impeach President Andrew Johnson in 1867. In that same year, Hayes was elected governor of Ohio. During his time as governor, voting rights were extended to African Americans, and the State Agricultural and Mechanical College was established, which would later become Ohio State University. Hayes did not seek re-election in 1872 and decided to retire from politics, but a few years later he ran again to be governor of Ohio and again won in 1875. By now being elected again, this put him among the top candidates to run for president in the Republican Party. In 1876, Hayes won the nomination of the Republican Party to run for president. In the general election of 1876, Hayes faced Democratic New York Governor Samuel Tilden. In one of the closest presidential elections in U.S. history, there was no clear winner in the Electoral College. To resolve the election, the outcome was left in the hands of the U.S. House of Representatives. There, a deal, sometimes called the corrupt bargain, was made by the Democratic Party-led House to allow Hayes to become president if he promised to end Reconstruction policies in the South and remove federal troops that had been stationed there to ensure African American rights. Hayes and the Republican Party agreed. Hayes was publicly sworn in as the 19th President of the United States on March 5, 1777, although he had already been privately sworn in on March 3rd. The bargain Hayes had struck to win the office plagued him throughout his presidency, as many called him your fraudulency. In his first years in office, most Reconstruction policies meant to protect African American rights, especially in the South, were removed, and Hayes' efforts to provide some equality and protections were met with resistance from Democrats who controlled the House of Representatives. One of Hayes' great obstacles of his presidency was the Great Railroad Strike of 1877, in which Hayes deployed federal troops to stop riots as striking rail workers were upset about wage cuts. Hayes also dealt with American expansion west and Native American claims to Western land. He wished to treat Native Americans fairly and assimilate Native American culture into white American culture. However, again, Hayes' efforts met resistance, and the mistreatment of Native Americans continued. On international issues, Hayes dealt extensively with policies in Latin America, especially as plans for a canal across Panama were introduced by the French. Hayes held true to the Monroe Doctrine and argued that only America should be involved in policies in the Western Hemisphere. Hayes had promised to only run for one term in office, so in 1880 he did not seek re-election. He retired from public office to his home in Ohio. Rutherford B Hayes died from a heart attack at the age of 70 on January 17, 1893. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.